Yeah, don't worry, I'll be with you in a sec there. There's actually a Fintech API that I'm working on. It's a Java-based application. So if it's Java, then you already know that the framework that I'm using is Springboot, right? So imagine you're building a Fintech API, um, and obviously if you're going to be deploying this in production, you want to containerize this, right? You may ask why. I mean, it's obvious. You you don't want to be in a situation where whenever you are pushing your code through the CI/CD pipeline, there are irregularities like downtime and all sorts of things, So you want to have a containerized, backend so that in case of certain things it's easier to roll back without the user experiencing issues. you know there can be so many issues, but for the sake of this video I want to keep it short. I don't want to be very much elaborate explaining these things. So you want to keep things short, as simple. Yeah, I mean, you want to keep things as simple as possible, because you're dealing with data that involves, money. And if it revolves around money, you want to ensure that security is well taken care of. Um, yeah, so there shouldn't be, significant disruption and stuff like that. So uh, at the end of the day, you want to be in a position where, let's say, you're making a money moving request as a user, right? And it should be handled by an idempotent asset transaction to guarantee correctiveness, right? So in the event that you have something like downstream effects, something like what? Something like a ledger update, for example, you know, well, you want to ensure that there's a synchronous flow, right? And usually, I don't know what's being used by other fintech, companies, but the most common is CACFA, right? Because it really cuts out tail latency, right? Cool. So since now you're running your fintech API in that manner, you want to ensure that you containerize it, so that you take care of these things that are highlighted. But most importantly, um, in the event that you don't want any disruptions. One, two, you want to ensure security. So, which better security measure than to containerize it and run it in Kubernetes cluster, for example, so that you control the traffic, right? Should control the traffic. So you must know the requests that are coming in, as well as the requests that have to be sent out, because this is money, right? Cool. So when you're running your Kubernetes cluster, the API uses liveliness and readiness probes, for example, and you want to consider horizontal pod scaling, right? Yeah, just 1 second. Just want to make sure that this API works the way. Okay, cool. Yeah, as I was saying, you want to ensure that you have horizontal pod auto scaling and the tight JVM tuning to stay resilient under unpredictable, fintech traffic. Because like I don't did I mention this? In the event that your application blows up, because I mean they say money makes the world go round, right? So everybody will be interested in your application, right? Indeed, they will. Cool. So you want to take care of that traffic. Uh-huh. So Kubernetes is the best option. JV tuning, those kind of a thing. Sure. Then now you want to also monitor your application, you know, what's going on in it, the traffic and all that, for debugging purposes. Cool. Ah, should. Um, one of the things that I stand corrected, and it's not the law. You want to look at something like micrometer metrics, open telemetry tracing and stuff like that, or structured audit logs, yeah, it will help you debug the payments because you're dealing with a fintech app, right? Remember? Cool. So then you also want to consider okay, I spoke about traffic. Yeah, you want to consider security. Security is very important because now you're dealing with money, right? So you want to make sure that all your secrets live in a vault and they're not exposed out there like that, because there are a lot of hackers. So if they can hack cryptocurrency, uh, those who are doing blockchain, they know better. They can tell you more from better perspective than I can, so cool. Yeah, so you want to ensure that your traffic is encrypted end to end. And what do I mean encrypted end to end? When a request is sent, before it is exposed out there, it has to be encrypted so that it moves through the internet encrypted, and then there has to be a decryptor at the end, the receiving end, and the server, right? So that whilst in the server it is processed, and then before it gets a response, that response is encrypted and then sent encrypted via, once it gets the blah 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 blah, then it's decrypted, blah 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 blah. And let me not bore you with all that, but the idea is that's about security. Encrypted request, decrypt encrypted request, encrypted response, right? Cool. So now, also you want to take care of what am I forgetting? Your SLOs, right? SLOs and recovery playbooks, because there'll be time where you want to what? You want to set up balances. Hmm? Yeah, set up balances, low latency and operability. Yeah, makes a whole lot of sense, right? If I'm speaking gibberish, yeah, just let me know in the comments. And then, um, yeah, I don't know if did I cover everything? Yeah, if I didn't cover everything, please let me know in the comments, right? Because I'm just building this as I go. I'm sure you can see it in the videos. I don't know whether I'm gonna put them this side or put them that side or wherever they are in this video. Just let me know. Yeah. Anyways, cool. Get you on the flip side.